Jai Gurudev and Hari Om. 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 Om Brahmanandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrasham Tattvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smriti Puranam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badaraya Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vante Bhagavantau Punah Punah Sadashivasamaramбham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Chaiva Tato Jayamudirayet. Jai Gurudev. I'm just going to start from here. Demand means there is always a rub in the form of a counter demand or denial. There is friction. We see this in our own homes and in the society in which we live. Daily life is nothing but demands and more demands. When people are always demanding, the society will naturally be a demanding one. We can see this by reading the newspaper columns. Everything is one continuous demand. Even groups are demanding. Teachers, nurses, doctors, patients, ethnic groups, males, females, states, and so on. The gods also seem to have become demanding. They seem to say, unless you remember us, no rain for you. If you don't remember us, bang, an earthquake. When you have duties, you will find there is amity. And because you can never fulfill your duties completely, there is also humility. But if each person at least tries to fulfill his or her duties, as father and son or husband and wife, for example, they will meet somewhere. In doing so, understanding is possible. Otherwise, there are problems. This is why dharma is called manava dharma or manusha dharma, the dharma of a human being. Can there be any other basis for our interaction with each other that will benefit us all? If people are to live together at home, in a community, in the society, or globally, this is the only way. There is no other way. Our Shastra goes even further and tells us to take into account all the forces. Cosmically speaking, also, then, there is only one way: appreciating one's position, one's situation, one's station, seeing what is to be done and doing it. Following one's own dharma, swadharma anushtana in this way, and not that of someone else, is the very basis of karma yoga. Having said all this, Lord Krishna might have become quiet, whereupon Arjuna asked a question. Arjuna uvacha atha kena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said, Varshneya, O descendant of the Vrishnis, that is Krishna, atha, now, anichan, napi, even while not desiring, I am this Purushaha person, kena, by what, prayuktaha, impelled, balativa, as though by force, niyojitaha, pushed, papam, sin, charati, commits. Arjuna said, impelled by what does a person commit sin, as though pushed by some force, even though not desiring to? O Varshneya. Previously, it was pointed out that there are likes and dislikes with reference to every sense object, and all you have to do is not fall under their spell. Tayoho vasham na agachet. It was also said that even though one's swadharma, what one must do, is not very pleasant, it is better to follow that than to follow something else that is more pleasing and convenient. Hearing all of this in terms of karma yoga, Arjuna asked what it is that impels a person to perform an action that he or she knows is not proper. Some kind of pleasure may be there, but still the person knows that the action is not becoming and will produce sin, dukkha. If the person did not know, of course, it would be different and understandable. Why does a person do a karma that he or she knows to be an improper action? Kena prayuktaha papam charati purushaha. Impelled by whom or what does he or she do this action? Posing this question, Arjuna addressed Krishna here as Varshneya, one who is born in the family of Vrishnis. Arjuna described such a person as one who is as though Iva, impelled or pushed into performing improper actions by some force. Balat niyojitaha. Niyojita implying a devilish force. Further, the person is pushed into it, even though he or she does not want to do it. A person knows it is not right. Anichan, meaning that he or she does not have any real intellectual value for performing such an action. But still it is done. Why? Impelled by whom? Kena prayuktaha. This was Arjuna's question. Duryodhana was once asked, why do you do all this papa karma? You come from a good family and have been brought up so well. You are a prince. What impels you to do such things? In a verse attributed to him, Duryodhana responded, I know what is right, janami dharmam, and I also know what is not right, janami adharmam. My problem is not that I have any innocence or confusion with reference to what is right and wrong. The problem is that I know dharma, but I do not pursue it. Janami dharmam nacha me pravrittihi. And I know adharma, but I cannot refrain from it. Janami adharmam nacha me nivrittihi. Duryodhana then went on to say, in whichever way I am impelled by the one sitting in my heart, in that way I do. Kenapi devena hridi stitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. It may have been a person or a force, but Duryodhana did not know who or what it was. Thus, Duryodhana and Arjuna had the same question. Who or what is it that is sitting in the mind, forcing the person to do what he or she knows to be wrong, even when the person does not want to do it? Purushaha eva purushaha. The word Purusha is the same as Purusha, meaning a person. Vrishni is the name of the one of the ancestors of Krishna, by whose name the entire clan is known. Because he belongs to the clan of Vrishnis, he is known as Varshneya. However, this word can be interpreted differently. Brahmanandam varshati iti Vrishnihi samyak bodhaha tena avagamyate iti Varshneya. That which showers on one, the fullness of Brahman, is called Vrishni. The clear knowledge of Brahman, Brahma Vidya, the one who is known by this knowledge, is Varshneya. Janami dharmam nacha me pravrittihi, janami adharmam nacha me nivrittihi, kenapi devena hridistitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. This is in the Mahabharata. So Krishna answered this question in the next verse. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhyena miha vairinam. Shri Bhagavan, Lord Krishna, Uvacha said, Eshaha, this, Kamaha, desire, Eshaha, this, Krodhaha, anger, Rajo Guna Samudbhavaha, born of the Guna Rajas, Mahashanaha, a glutton, Mahapapma, a great sinner, Iha, here in this world, Enam, this, Vairinam, enemy, Vidhi, no. Shri Bhagavan said, this desire, this anger, born of the Guna Rajas, is a glutton and a great sinner. Know that to be the enemy here in this world. In his commentary to this verse, Shankara discusses the six-fold bhaga, or qualities possessed by the one who is called Bhagavan. Total overlordship, Aishwarya, the strength to create, Virya, all fame, Yashas, all wealth and resources, Shri, all knowledge, omniscience, Jnana, and total dispassion, freedom from any sense of want, that is Vairagya. This Vairagya is not a sadhana, a means for gaining the knowledge. It is absolute Vairagya that comes with complete fullness. Therefore, Bhagavan is the one in whom these six-fold qualities always remain in their entirety. Everyone has these qualities in a small measure. All have limited jnana and vairagya. Certainly, with reference to garbage, almost everyone has vairagya, although what is garbage for one may not be for another. In Bhagavan, however, each of the six qualities is without any hindrance or obstruction whatsoever. Shankara goes on to say that Bhagavan is one who knows about the creation and the dissolution. Utpattim pralayam chaiva. He also has complete knowledge of the good and bad ends of all beings. He also has complete knowledge about the time, type, and place of birth and death of all beings. Bhutanam agatim gatim. Whatever be their lot, pleasure or pain, sukha or dukkha, he knows that too. He also knows knowledge and ignorance of the bhutas. Vetti vidyam avidyam cha. Here the word avidya also means karma. This is the one who is to be called Bhagavan. Sa vachyo Bhagavan iti, quotes Shankara. Improper actions come from desire alone. In this verse, Bhagavan told Arjuna that what impels a person to do an action of papa is but a thought. A thought itself is not a person. It depends upon a person. Therefore, it is not a real substantive. But because the Atma is with the thought, a thought assumes a certain force. This thought, Krishna said, is kama, desire. The expression, this desire, eshaha kamaha, indicates that it is something known to everyone. Thus, Krishna was telling Arjuna, you yourself can know this desire by looking into yourself. When you ask why a person performs an improper action, do you really think there is some devil or something in there? You are the only devil. There is no other devil, no separate satanic force sitting there interfering with Bhagavan's work. There is no second force more powerful than Bhagavan. You are both the devil and the angel here. It is your own desire alone. It is your own desire alone, and this desire is something that is very well known to you. To say that a person performs improper actions, even though the desire to do so is not there, simply means that the will does not seem to have the force necessary to stop the want, kama. The want becomes so powerful, and your the identification with the want becomes so complete that whatever wisdom may be there telling you that what you want is not good for you is silenced. In this way, karma can become very powerful. Desire is born out of Rajoguna alone, Rajoguna samudbhavaha, whereas wisdom is born out of Sattva. When Rajas is predominant, there is desire. Because Rajas is a force, Kama is also forceful. Kama is said to be your enemy, Vairi, an enemy being one who does what is not good for you. Kama is inimical to you when it makes you go after things that you do not really want or need, things that you can afford to be without. In this way, it is your enemy. Kama also has another form, Krodha. Krodha, anger, is simply another stage of Kama. If Kama is destroyed in any way, if it is obstructed and not allowed to fulfill itself, then it will turn into anger. Arjuna was only too well aware of how this can happen. Utpattim pralayam chaiva bhutanam agatim katim vetti vidyam avidyam cha sa vachyo bhagavan iti. In the Vishnu Purana, this is another way of describing Bhagavan. We saw the first definition on page 20. That is all the 6 bhagas. Born of Indra's grace, Arjuna was considered to be Indra's son. Indra thought he would reward Arjuna, who had been doing tapas in the forest for a long time, by sending the beautiful Urvashi to him. Urvashi was a celestial damsel, the most beautiful Apsara in heaven, and therefore the dream of all men, including the men in heaven. When Arjuna told Urvashi that he did not want to have anything to do with her, that he was already married and that he considered her as a mother, Urvashi became very angry and put a curse on him that he would lose his masculinity and become a eunuch. Lord Indra intervened on behalf of Arjuna and made Urvashi modify the curse such that Arjuna would become a eunuch only for the period of 1 year, and that he could choose the time when the curse would take effect. Later, this curse turned out to be a blessing for Arjuna, since it made him eligible to teach dance and music to the ladies in the palace during the year he was to remain incognito. At the beginning of the 13th year of exile, Arjuna opted for the curse to take effect and became Brihannala and spent that year teaching dance and music. Arjuna had therefore experienced how desire can turn into anger. When Urvashi's desire for Arjuna was not fulfilled, it became anger. A person whose love has been rejected can even become violent towards the object of his or her love. Rejected love means that kama, want, is there. It is not like the love that one has for the stars, the moon, the sky, etc. There, one's mind has no demands as to how they should be or should not be. The mind totally accepts these as they are and enjoys them as they are. Therefore, this kind of love does not cause any problem. This is not the case with a karma that is demanding and therefore binding. This binding karma can be called by many names. In the beginning, it is called want, then passion, and then anger. All these are born out of Rajoguna. Kama as Krodha, anger, was referred to here as Mahapapma, a great sinner, because it is the cause of those actions that a person regrets for his or her entire lifetime. Such actions have to be paid for, and karma alone is the cause. Atma has nothing to do with them, nor do the body, mind, and senses. And although your ignorance has something to do with performing improper actions, ignorance itself has nothing to do with it. Who does it? Desire alone. Kama eva does it. There is even a mantra to this effect, chanted by adults and children alike. The mantra is, desire did it, anger did it. O Lord, my salutations. Kamo karshit, manyura karshit, namo namaha. This mantra is repeated 1008 times on a certain day of the year. It is not just a prayer, it carries a message too. It implies that I did not do it. Thus, if knowledge is there, there is no problem. This is why Krishna said, understand, Vidhi, that this karma alone is your enemy. As your enemy, karma forces you to perform actions that you know are improper and that do not really want to do. Just as Duryodhana said, there is someone sitting in my heart impelling me to do wrong actions, but I don't know who the person is. Arjuna also did not know. Here, Bhagwan made it very clear that this person is none other than Kama. Desire is insatiable. There is one more word given in the verse to describe Kama, Mahashanaha, one who is a great glutton. Kama never says enough. Of course, its fulfillment may be enough for some time, but eventually the karma will start up again. Just like a glutton who barely takes time to swallow the food being eaten before wanting more. This then is the nature of want. Any want is always replaced by further wants. There is no end to the gluttony of karma, Krishna said here. To suppose that by continuing to fulfill one's wants, there will be a day when none remains is not a reasonable assumption. Like fire, karma always wants more. It will never say enough. Therefore, there is no possibility of karma coming to an end. It just goes on breeding. This is why we always have wants. In the next verse, Krishna told Arjuna how karma operates. Let me know if any of you wants to stop and discuss or talk, or any of you wants to share anything. धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तथा तेनेदमावृतम्. Yatha, just as, Vannihi, the fire, Dhumena, by clouds of smoke, Avriyate is covered, Adarshaha, the mirror, Malena, by dust, Cha, and Yatha, just as, Garbhaha, fetus, Ulbena, by the womb, Avritaha, covered, Tatha, so too, Tena, by that, Idam, this, Avritam, is covered. Just as the fire is covered by clouds of smoke, just as a mirror is covered by dust, and just as a fetus is covered by the womb, so too, knowledge is covered by desire. Even though fire is self-revealing, prakashatmakaha, being effulgent and requiring no light to be seen, still the smoke coming from the fire can cover the fire itself. In the same way, one's discrimination, viveka, knowledge of what is to be done and what is not to be done, is covered by karma, which is born of the mind alone. There are two types of vivekas. Dharma, adharma viveka, meaning karya, akarya viveka, what is to be done and what is not to be done. And atma, anatma viveka, the ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal. This twofold viveka is required to conduct one's life. If you have karya, akarya viveka, then atma, anatma viveka will follow naturally. These two vivekas constitute knowledge, jnana. The mind, buddhi, that has this knowledge, viveka jnana, is covered by karma, just as fire can be covered by its own smoke. Like fire, your jnana is also self-revealing. Therefore, it should be able to serve you, but because it is covered, it cannot. When the karma comes, it takes you over so completely that your murmuring wisdom is nowhere to be found. Krishna provided two other examples here. A mirror covered by a coat of dust and a fetus covered by the womb. The mirror and fetus are not seen simply because they are covered. You can see the mirror, but at the same time, it is not clear at all. So too, you know an unborn child is there, but you cannot see it because it has yet to see the light of day. So too, in the first example, you know fire is there because you see the smoke. You cannot see the fire because it is covered. Simple viveka will dismiss many desires. There is a specific reason why Krishna used three different examples to make his point here. Everyone has certain karmas that rob his or her wisdom away, but only for the time being. With a little viveka, a little discretion, you can dismiss them. There are always so many fancies going on in your head, but they need not hold you for any length of time. It is like walking through a department store. You may see many things that you would like to buy, but you just walk away without buying any of them, which is just as well, because if you fulfilled every fancy, your home would become the department store. Thus, such fancies take hold of you temporarily, but then, by some inquiry, vichara, by considering your purse, by seeing whether you need the objects or not, whether you really want them or not, you are able to dismiss these fancies. Thus, with reference to certain wants, then, all that you require is a short vichara. Other wants, of course, may require a longer vichara. Mere vichara may also not be enough. Some force of will may be necessary to dismiss the desire. Still, you will come out the victor because you have the necessary will. You may have to say no out loud most emphatically if you really want to do a particular thing. For example, when someone asks you to go somewhere and you want to go, but you know you should do something else instead, you may reply with a loud no. In such cases, half the no is for the other person and the other half is for yourself. This is why it comes out twice as loud. What this no is all about is so well known in India that if you say it when you are eating, you will be given one more helping of food. This no requires will on your part. Vichara itself is not enough. This way of dismissing a desire is likened here to the mirror that is covered with dust. To merely blow on it is not enough. Not only will the mirror remain dusty, it will become hazy as well. You have to take a wet cloth and wipe the mirror clean, which requires both will and effort. Similarly, not giving into your desires requires vichara and will. Talking with someone who understands such matters, which requires effort or some other action, may also be necessary. The example of the unborn child in the womb is much stronger in that the time factor kala must also sometimes be taken into account with reference to not giving into one's desires. It takes 9 months for a child to be born. Similarly, it may take time to understand your desires and to gain a certain mastery over them. When time is required and you try to circumvent it, the whole effort will be aborted. Therefore, you need to bide your time. The covering illustrated in this verse is binding desire and its modifications. The next verse reveals what is covered. Discriminative knowledge, viveka, is covered. So that is why Krishna has given 3 different examples to say this viveka is covered. The desire is covered. The karma covers the what is to be done. So it is like the smoke covering the fire, which is easy. All you require is just a push of air and then you see the fire. It is easy. All that is required is just a little bit of vichara. And then you know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Whereas when it's a little more thicker, like the dust on the mirror, it requires an effort. It requires you to take a clean, wet cloth and clean up the dust. So you may have to take the help of someone, maybe to do some more vichara and take their help in order to decide whether, you that vichara is required to understand your karma. Whereas the third example, the womb covered by the fetus, it takes into effect the time. So beautifully described, my gosh.
Yes, Brahmanaji,
Yes.
that no means that in Indian construct you will be given more or something was there, no? That title.
That means when you have gone to someone's house to eat and then you're offered food and then you say no.
No, yes.
It means, they will give you one more helping. That is the Indian system, no?
Yeah.
So,
but in what context it was given, that I didn't understand.
It was given in the context that when you say no, it is actually, you're saying no because of 2 things. One, half no is for the other person. The other half is it is your free will that is showing, is telling you to cow down your desire. So let me read this again.
And Brahmanaji, there was one more. The Viveka is twofold: dharma, adharma, and what is the other thing?
Nitya, Atma, Anatma.
Atma, anatma. Okay, thank you.
So when you start with having dharma, adharma, viveka, then Atma, Anatma, viveka will follow it.
Follow it, yes.
So the first thing is dharma, dharma, viveka. So if we are stuck in karma only all our life, we're only following karma, then we are nowhere. It's just we're going round that merry-go-round, going round and round, getting nowhere. So the first thing to do is to understand this karma. That karma esha, krodha esha, rajoguna samudbhavaha. Mahashano mahapapma, vidyena miha vairina. So these are the enemies. Karma is the enemy.
It is like Mahashana means fire.
Mahashanaha, it is like a glutton. It never says enough. You finish, fulfill one desire, one more desire is ready to get fulfilled.
Oh, what is glutton? Okay.
Glutton is someone who eats a lot, who goes on like this Bakasura, glutton. He's a glutton.
Okay.
Similarly, fire is anala, I think. That is the. So whatever you put in and becomes
Hariom Brahmaraji, is mine
anala, like the fire.
Your voice is coming and
breaking.
going.
Yes, it is breaking.
What is
for me also? It is.
It is in.
It is not. It is breaking.
Hariom.
Is it better now?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it there from the beginning or just now, Bela?
No, just now. Just now it is. About
Just now
5-10 minutes.
you were describing the three.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just showed that my internet was a little unstable.
Yeah, it happens. Chintamastu. Brahmaraji, I wanted to just add that Swamiji is so compassionate by adding that, like the way fetus takes 9 months to, to reveal its face. Same way, even to recognize our desire that it is not in a right or wrong way. It takes time. So I think it's very, very wonderful that Swamiji has given all these three examples. I'm really touched by his compassion.
Yeah, this was actually Bhagavan Uvacha. That is, Bhagavan had mentioned this in his verse to explaining to Arjuna, because Arjuna asked, "What is it that makes this person do what is?" So that paradharma that we are talking about, swadharma and paradharma. Swadharma is what is to be done, you do. That is your swadharma. But what is paradharma? That is you're impelled to do. By what is one impelled to do what is not to be done, was Arjuna's question. So he's basically asking, what is that impels one to do paradharma? And that is the karma. Paradharmo bhayavaha, when Krishna says, he says, death in while doing your swadharma is better than, or your swadharma not done properly is also better than doing paradharma.
What impels,
yeah.
What impels is very good. That goalkeeper example is very good.
Yeah.
What impels means he wants to kick the ball. That karma, that desire, that makes him to come to leave his job and come to kick it.
Mm.
Sometimes the goalie comes in front. We have seen, no, in the matches. He comes in front and hits it. By the time again he goes, it will be goal. It happened in many football matches. He is overcome by that he wants to, the ball is not coming, therefore he comes in the front. That is really a very good example of how the karma works. Very, very good.
So understanding this karma is all our effort. All our sadhana is to understand how this karma, and whether we are governed by that karma or we are governed by swadharma.
It is when
To find our swadharma itself is very difficult. That is the very biggest job to be done.
I think when you are more sattvic, you would know it, and
You will get
when
it,
you are
yes.
rajasic, you will be prey to the desires.
Then you will be within the realms of the prakriti of that rajas. You are not viveka, you know. If you are in sattvic, your viveka will jagrat. But in rajasic, you are covered by the kama krodha. That rajasic guna itself is chanchala, you know. And manas also is chanchala. With manas, with rajasic gunas, it becomes more like monkey. To control that, we have to have these sattvic practices.
If you consider all this as part of the vibrations, falling in sync with the general vibration is your doing your swadharma. It's like the river flowing. Whereas if you are following your karma or your karma, it is like you're going against the current.
Yeah, there you have to put the effort.
You not only need to put effort, but it is against the swadharma.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So that is yesterday I was not really very clear of what paradharma is. I understood kind of what swadharma is, and you know what that's swadharme nidhanam shreya. But in yesterday, as I was reading, I had this little doubt about what is this paradharma. But now it is it's getting so clear and that is why this beautiful train of the verses that follow one after the other.
Very good.
So this paradharma is that which is born of desire. That is what is not to be done. But you still do it. Nice.
So dharma also is intrinsic desire, you know.
That is what swadharma is. When your intrinsic desire falls in sync with what you have to do, that is swadharma.
Correct.
But when your desire is different from what you have to do, desire is there, but that is not what is to be done, then that becomes paradharma.
Paradharma. So good. Yeah. So nice. Wonderful.
But swadharma would be, if you're doing your swadharma, you would be at ease, isn't it?
Yeah. You will be at ease.
Follow the flow. Accept. That is what they say, no? The acceptance. Guruji gave this very important point. Acceptance. With the flow, you have to go. Like water.
Jai Gurudev, if the desire is sattvic, then also it will be falling in the category of paradharma. Like,
yeah. If it is paradharma, which is not your desire. There are sattvic also.
If it is a sattvic desire, then also it will be a paradharma.
Not synced
what
with
is the example like you're giving?
Yeah, I was just giving an example. Like if you are doing your dharma, like being a doctor, you are practicing, you are giving your time, and you don't have much of work and you have the spare time. So should you go for joining another hospital or institute for your work, or should you go for your this spiritual this reading and gaining knowledge, all these type of work? Is it be called then dharma if you leave your
Yeah, I think here, why you want to go to the other hospital? You're not going to be doing 24 all the waking hours. You're not, because you're a doctor. You will not be, giving your service as a doctor, isn't it? So here,
Right.
I think viveka is important. If you require, and if you have enough money to take care of your basic needs for a simple living, then I think the remaining work, the time that you have, you should of course spend for gaining knowledge.
So then it would not be called
It
Pardharma.
was not called paradharma. In fact, it is your swadharma, because you are as a mumukshu, you're not just in that dharma, in the stages, varnashrama stages, and in the dharma, in the purusharthas, you are a mumukshu. So
Highest one, you know.
you're
not,
a mumukshu, so you of course doing your karma yoga in meeting out whatever number of hours you are spending as a doctor, that you do well. As a karma yogi, you do that, but you're also pursuing knowledge. So it is not that pursuing knowledge there will become a paradharma. No, I don't think so. No.
Because we are
is
doing
into
this karma to clean our antakarana shuddhi, make our mind fertile for the jnana. So ultimately it is done to get the jnana. So absolutely you are, I mean, okay to pursue spiritual.
Yeah, it was always I always had this doubt that because I myself was having the interest in reading all these and gaining knowledge, and but the family members, not my own husband or my mother-in-law, but other people who observe, they say, why are you doing this? You should work elsewhere. Why are you wasting your time? So I sometimes I used to think, if is it that I am escaping from my swadharma, I am not going elsewhere. So uh, is it that I am running away from my work? Because in doing your practice also, you serve people. It was not the money issue also, but it is sometimes you have that you are here to serve people, because you have been giving this profession as a doctor, so it is to take care of the needy ones. So that confusion I always had. So that is cleared now. Yeah.
But that is a preference, you know. Your
Yeah.
mumukshu means that is the highest one. Mumukshu is the highest desire, and you are following it. Then all this karma doesn't apply to us if we are jnani. See, the karma yoga is applied when you are going towards it, you know, towards the mumukshu, towards jnani. So preference is to go towards jnana. That is the first one. Karma is where we have to have the antakarana shuddhi. Until we have the mind, clarity of mind, we cannot reach that jnana. You see? So it is you have to decide which one is preferred, where you stand. So not the others one. They may not know it at all. So you know what you need and you are doing it. That's why you are very, very right in it. That's not paradharma. That is your sadharma. For them, it is paradharma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Simple Viveka will dismiss many desires.
So,
There is
hold on, Brahmaraji. My point of that no to the food,
I want to read that. No, yeah, sorry.
No, means what
Ah.
happens, there we have to tell emphatically for him also no, and for me also no.
Yeah.
For me, we'll say no, but for them it is not heard, so they will put it. I think that way it is connected. Yeah,
Could
yeah.
be. See, I'll read that. Thus, with reference to certain wants, then all that you require is a short vichara. Other wants, of course, may require a longer vichara. Mere vichara may also not be enough. Some force of will may be necessary to dismiss the desire. Still, you will come out the victor because you have the necessary will. You may have to say no out loud, most emphatically, if you really want to do a particular thing. For example, when someone asks you to go somewhere and you want to go, but you know you should do something else instead, you may reply with a loud no. In such cases, half the no is for the other person and the other half is for yourself. This is why it comes out twice as loud. What this no is all about is so well known in India that if you say it when you are eating, you will be given one more helping of food. I think Swamiji, I'm not sure whether he just mentioned it in a humorous manner. He's just bringing in some humor in there.
No, there you will not say emphatically. You will say for yourself no, but the other person, you are not told no to him. And so we have to put emphatically no, then only it will not be coming to you. Otherwise, they will put you.
I think what he meant was in the lighter vein. I feel.
Yeah.
I too feel.
No. When you say no, you will not say emphatically no while eating. Half no you will tell for yourself. You have to say emphatically no means they will not feed you. Otherwise, they will.
Maybe that's also true. It is like when it's an often quoted thing when someone is offering something and half of you wants to say no, but you put your hand forward and say no, I don't want it. Probably it's like that. This is literally. Yeah. But this is what it implies. This no that Swamiji is talking about is an implied.
That is, we should show emphatically. We should do for them also, not for yourself. You may not need it, but you have to emphatically tell for them, the other who is feeding you. Otherwise, they will put you.
Brahmaji used to come home when he used to conduct Gita Jnana Yajnas. Brahmaji is Swami Brahmananda who sang all this Gita chanting that he's recorded. He's such a beautiful voice. He's part of the Chinmaya mission. And my grandmother used to stay with us at that time, my mother's mother. And my grandmother is if you say no, she will actually give you 2 more helpings. So she is like that kind of a person who just wants to go on feeding. And she would derive a lot of joy by giving and feeding others. So Brahmaji would say, Hotte namadu, the stomach is mine. So I cannot eat anymore. So he would just say that very, very mildly, he will tell, saying, Hotte namadu, I have to eat. So enough, I don't want any more. Hotte namadu in Kannada means the stomach is mine.
Stomach is mine. Good. Good. Sorry to come
Yeah.
back to this.
So this no requires will on your part. Vichara itself is not enough. This way of dismissing a desire is likened here to the mirror that is covered with dust. To merely blow on it is not enough. Like you blow just the smoke and then the fire is seen. So that is not enough. Not only will the mirror remain dusty, it will become hazy as well. You have to take a wet cloth and wipe the mirror, which requires both will and effort. Similarly, not giving into your desires requires vichara and will. Talking with someone who understands such matters, which requires effort or some other action, may also be necessary. This is that second example
Yes.
of
Little
Dhumena
more effort
Vriyato
is
Vannihi Yatho Bela Yathol Bena Vrito Garba. No, this is
mirror.
Adarsha. What is the thing for dust?
This is Rajaguna Mahapa. Dhumrena Vani
Dhumena Vriyate
Yathar
Vanni
Darsho. Darsho
Yatha
means
Adarsho Malena. Adarsha Malena. So
Adarsho, not Adarsha, because Adarsha is different. Adarsha means mirror. Darsha, to see.
I think it is Adarsha only. It is Adarsha is mirror and Malena is dust.
Dust. Okay.
So Adarsha Malena cha. So the second one requires will as well as some effort. Vichara and effort. Whereas the third example,
Garbhastata.
the mind, buddhi that has this knowledge, viveka jnana, is covered by kama. Where is that? Krishna provides two other examples, a mirror covered by a coat of dust and a fetus covered by the womb. The mirror and fetus are not seen simply because they are covered. You can see the mirror, but at the same time, it is not clear at all. So too, you know an unborn child is there, but you cannot see it because it has yet to see the light of day. So too, in the first example, you know fire is there because you see the smoke. You cannot see the fire because it is covered.
There's no example, I remember I think Piku, some film with Amitabh Bachchan. He says, when lady says no means no. He just says that. That was a very powerful, word that they had used. I don't know, many of you have seen or not seen. Piku, I think. Piku or the recent movie. No means no. That is what, then the judgment he gives, no. That's all. Wonderful it is. That was a good thing. Okay, that's the side of this one.
Simple viveka will dismiss many desires. So I think we read this, but you want me to read this again?
No.
This we finished reading, right?
Yeah.
We've gone through.
That one, yes.
So the unborn child in the womb is much stronger in that the time factor, kala, must also sometimes be taken into account with reference to not giving into one's desires. It takes 9 months for a child to be born. Similarly, it may take time to understand your desires and to gain a certain mastery over them.
Wonderful.
This, I'm reminded of the example, the story that Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was, where this mother comes to him with her child who has got a sweet tooth and a craving for sweets. So when she brings him and asks Ramakrishna Paramahamsa to advise her son not to eat sweets, he says, come back after 10 days. And in those
Yes.
10 days, he works on his own desire for eating sweets. And then when he's overcome that, then he's able to also say with that, conviction that yes, you should stop sweets.
Is it Mahatma Gandhi or Ramana
No,
Maharshi?
Paramahansa.
Is
Ramakrishna Paramahamsa is what I know.
Yeah.
This is the one of the
Mhm. Because in Mahatma Gandhi also did the same thing.
So when time is required and you try to circumvent it, the whole effort will be aborted. Therefore, you need to bide your time.
That is what they said, sabr, waiting, patience. Shraddha and saburi, they say, no?
Shraddha and saburi. Yeah.
Saburi, that is what there it is. Even desire comes, you should wait for it. You have to have viveka to wait. And it's not happening, it's not happening, it's not happening. We'll be very craving for it, no? So you wait, it will happen. So good, really good. Especially children's marriage or something, we are praying it, we are surrendering it, everything. It is not happening. That time, patience only will help you. By experiencing, I'm telling you.
In Vignan Bhairav, Gurudev also puts too much emphasis on patience only.
Mm.
The covering illustrated in this verse is binding desire and its modifications. The next verse reveals what is covered. Discriminative knowledge, viveka, is covered. Avritam jnanametena jnanino nitya vairina kama rupena kaunteya dushpurena nalena cha. Kaunteya, O Arjuna, jnaninaha, of the wise, nitya vairina, by the constant enemy, kama rupena, whose form is desire, cha, and dushpurena, insatiable, etena analena, by this fire, jnanam, knowledge, avritam, is covered. Knowledge is covered by this, O Arjuna, the insatiable fire of desire, the constant enemy of the wise. The word this, idam, used in the preceding verse refers to knowledge, jnana. Here, this knowledge is said to be covered by the enemy in the form of kama, kama rupena, just as the fire, mirror, and fetus are covered by the smoke, dust, and womb, respectively. And by what kind of kamas is the knowledge covered? By the kamas that are difficult to fulfill. Dushpurena, and impossible to satiate. Analena. Anala means fire. Fire is never satiated. The more fuel you offer it, the more it wants. All its tongues are out, demanding more. Therefore, fire is called anala. Like fire, desire also has no satiability. So it is referred to here as anala. There is no such thing as fulfilling all your desires so that after retirement, there will be none remaining. There is no such thing as a last desire, the last dregs of all one's desires. At no time can you say that you have only 5 remaining desires and that if you just fulfill these 5, everything will be perfect because you will be purna, limitless. All desires flow from our sense of limitation. Desires themselves are born out of apurnatva, one's sense of being limited. Every desire is an expression of this sense of limitation. This sense is like a perpetual spring from which all desires flow. New desires will keep flowing to the surface. Even if you have no particular desire at a given point of time, the buddhi will say, you are not even capable of desiring. In the face of this new condemnation, you will again feel limited and desire to be free of the limitation. The adjective Nitya Vairina, meaning by the permanent enemy, indicates that karma is permanent. Shankara provides an excellent commentary on the word Nitya Vairi. Knowledge can be covered by desire, even for one who is mature and knows what is to be done and not to be done. This desire is difficult to fulfill and is both insatiable and inimical to those who are discriminative. And why is this enemy described as permanent? Shankara goes on to say that even before the desire comes, the person is a karya viveki, knows what is to be done and not to be done. But this knowing what is proper and improper does not mean that the person will act accordingly. Even the discriminative person, knowing a particular desire is not good for him or her, may still try to fulfill it because the desire can be more powerful than the wisdom of discrimination. Because the person knows both before and after that a given desire is not for one's well-being, desire is referred to as a permanent enemy, Nitya Vairi of the discriminating people. One who is not discriminating knows only later that the binding desire is useless, whereas at the time of desiring, the person thinks that to act on this particular desire will be wonderful. It seems to be the right thing to do. For example, a person who wants to make a killing of the stock market may say, I have a new scheme and I'm going to make it work. In 1 month's time, you will see how great my plan is. But after the time is past, all there is to see is that the person is broke. I should have thought it over, the person will say. I never thought of the possibilities of loss. Only later is there the discovery that the desire was costly, anartha, and also that it was the cause of the person's subsequent problems. If I had not been greedy, I would not have become involved in this mess. So Shankara says that karma is Nitya Vairi for the discriminative because it is a consistent enemy. Before and after acting, they know that the desire will not benefit them in any way. Whereas for the non-discriminating, karma appears to be an enemy only after they have acted, the action not producing the benefits they had expected. Arjuna wanted to know who or what impelled people to perform improper actions. And because Arjuna also wanted to know how to be free of that which impelled improper action, Krishna told him how to deal with this karma. Indriyani mano buddhihi asyadhishtanamujyate etair vimohayatyesha jnanamavritya dehinam. Indriyani, senses, manaha, mind, buddhi, intellect, asya, its, adhishtanam, location, uchyate is said, eshaha, this, etaihi, with these, jnanam, wisdom, avritya, covering, dehinam, person, vimohayati, deludes. Its location is said to be the senses, mind, and intellect. With these, it that is karma, deludes the person by covering his or her wisdom. Krishna had told Arjuna that karma alone impels a person to perform actions he or she knows to be improper. A desire can be so powerful that the means employed to fulfill it is not even questioned by the person. Whenever a particular end is very important to you, You can always compromise the means because all desire is for an end only, not for the means. Actions are usually only improper with reference to the means used for gaining a desired end. The end is very rarely wrong, whereas the means are often compromised because the end is so very important to the person. In some cases, both the means and the ends are wrong.
I think this means is dharma.
Means is your action, no?
Action.
Whatever your action, yeah.
That is what. With dharma, if you do it, it is good.
So I'll read this once again. Actions are usually only improper with reference to the means used for gaining a desired end.
That is what I'm telling you. See,
right?
If you don't follow the correct means, it will become adharma.
See, you can even dharmically follow your desire. We're not just talking of dharma over here.
No,
Here
the
we're
means.
talking of the karma, right?
No, the karma, okay, the means. See here, a desire can be so powerful that the means employed to fulfill it is not even questioned. Means how you act. Whether you are acting dharmic or not dharmic, that will not be questioned. Only your end is you are pointing out. Therefore, you become entangled in this. You know?
Yeah. The end is very rarely wrong, whereas the means are often compromised because the end is so very important to the person. In some cases, both the means and the ends are wrong. So what Swamiji is mentioning here, both means and ends are wrong, is completely adharmic, like what Duryodhana was doing.
That is what.
Correct. But sometimes the end may be right. The end result you want could be dharmic, but the means may be compromised. You may be doing some adharmic thing to get that end.
Like how during Dharma Yuddha, many times they compromised on the rules.
Yeah. The villain in all of this is not a force outside yourself, nor is it yourself. It is karma, desire. The self itself is harmless. In fact, it is clean, shuddha. Nor can the body do anything right or wrong. It is only a place, a location. So too, the mind and senses are not harmful. Karma alone is what creates the havoc. But karma is only inimical when it is binding in nature. Thus, with reference to various ends, karma is located in various places in terms of physical actions, perceptions, and experiences. Knowing where desire is located makes it possible to do something about it. I will read this once again. So, the villain is not, in all of this, is not a force outside of yourself, nor is it yourself. It is karma, desire. The self itself is harmless. In fact, it is clean, shuddha. Nor can the body do anything right or wrong. It is only a place, a location. So too, the mind and senses are not harmful. They are like only the receptors and the perceptive abilities. But what is the villain? Karma alone is what creates the havoc. But karma is only inimical. Inimical becomes an enemy when it is binding in nature. Thus, with reference to various ends, karma is located in various places in terms of physical actions, perceptions, and experiences. Knowing where desire is located makes it possible to do something about it. This is similar to how the police deal with thieves and other criminals. Investigation agencies keep records on habitual thieves based on certain repetitive patterns of behavior. Some thieves enter only through windows, and others open doors in a certain way. Some thieves pick up only certain things and leave everything else untouched. Each thief knows the places in which he or she can operate safely, meaning with less chance of being caught. Thus, criminals tend to be habitual offenders in two ways: in the types of offenses they commit and how they commit them. All that is required to catch them is to discover their patterns, how they operate, where they spend their time, and so on. What analysis Swamiji has given, really. So basically, we have to discover the thief, that is the karma. So the karma tends to have some habitual pattern, like thieves have some habitual pattern of where they commit their crime and how they do it. Atma is free of desire. Similarly, when the place that one's enemy desire operates from is known, karma is easy to manage and take care of. Where then is this karma located? It is not in the Satchit Ananda Atma, although Satchit Ananda Atma is in the karma. Without the Atma, there is no want, no desire, no condition of the mind whatsoever. Whatever the condition, pain or pleasure, Atma is there. But karma is not in the Atma. If you look into the self, there is no want therein. It is always clean, untouched by anything. But without bringing about any material change in the object, the Atma joins everything. If the Atma itself had attributes, gunas, its joining with a thought would result in a mixture, a compound. A desire would therefore not be a discrete desire. It would be colored by Atma, which is not the case. Atma itself, not having any attributes, lends its existence, Sat, and consciousness, Chit, to anything obtaining in the mind. Therefore, Atma is said to be free from want, kama. It is like a dead person cannot have kama, right? It is only the consciousness, that Chit, Satchit, Ananda, that the Atma Swarupa is required for the kama even to manifest. So therefore, kama is not in the Atma, but the Atma is there in the kama. The body, mind, and senses also do not have wants as such, but the wants involve all these locations. The want requires some way to manifest, needs an outlet. Almost all the kamas, the wants, are with reference to sense objects. And without the senses, these objects are not known and therefore do not become objects of desire. Naturally, then, the senses become the basis, adhishtana, for the desires to arise in the mind. Therefore, the senses are said to be the adhishtana of kama. Through the senses, desires can also be fulfilled. Without the mind, manas, there is no want. Thus, mind is also the location, adhishtana for kama. The manas is the one that creates the fancies that are the beginning of kama, because the decision with reference to the fulfillment of a want takes place in the buddhi. The intellect, the buddhi too, is said to be the adhishtana for desire. Thus, with reference to kama, the manas, the buddhi, and the senses are places of operation, as it were. So this is where the thief of kama is this is the arena where it functions. When once kama is very powerful, it robs away the person's very wisdom, jnana. It deludes the person. In terms of earlier acquired wisdom, the person is as though blindfolded by his or her desire and is taken for a ride. This ride can be a very long one also, because when you wake up, you find yourself elsewhere with all the damage already done. This is kama. The removal of delusion. What can you do about this delusion of desire with regard to your mind, buddhi, and senses? The places where kama operates, be careful. Exercise your capacity to curtail or stop the senses whenever you want something that does not benefit you. Any sense pursuit can be stopped just short of overt expression, as in eating, for example. One can always say enough, even when from inside the desire keeps saying, "Come on, have a little more." To stop a sense pursuit at the level of the senses is called dhamma. If you remember, Nana had said the best way, one of the best ways of practicing this nigraha is if you want to have a second helping, you say, "Stop, I don't want to have a second helping." We have seen that one has no control over the wants that arise in one's head because of one's nature. You cannot say, "I want to avoid this want," because you cannot avoid it. Your desires do not need to be controlled. In fact, your prakriti, your nature, is your entire past, the remote past and the immediate past, all of which can give rise to a certain type of thinking and certain wants. Your likes and dislikes just happen. You cannot do anything about them. What you can do, however, is to keep a certain distance between yourself and your likes and dislikes. In other words, you need not deliver yourself to them. This is what is called shama. Thus, there are two disciplines, dhamma and shama, with reference to kama. Although you need not worry about what you think, what you desire, it is also not to your advantage to do whatever you want based on your desires alone. Therefore, do not fall prey to your simple fancies and wants. Always look into yourself and see what is proper. Is it feasible, necessary, and useful to fulfill a particular desire? Is it proper? There may not be anything wrong with the desire. It may be quite legitimate, but not at all necessary. Or it may be feasible to fulfill the desire. You may be able to buy something that you want, but you do not need it. Therefore, why buy it? It may be useful, but is it necessary to have this particular object? Instead of simply buying it, consider first how useful it is in terms of your priorities. Having weighed all the factors, you can then go with the desire or not go with it. This deliberation is shama. And if, having gone along with the desire, you find that you want more and more, you then say, "No, thus far and no further." This is where you require dhamma, which can be practiced daily whenever you feel like having another helping of food. Only when you practice shama and dhamma can you manage your wants. Otherwise, they will manage you and make a mess of your life. Therefore, taking the various factors into account, go with your desires, but do not let them make your decisions for you. To manage your desires in this way, you need to be very alert, as Krishna points out in the next verse.
Can you give example of shama more? Like,
I will just read that one more time. See, dhamma is having a say on your senses, right? So any sense pursuit can be stopped just short of overt expression, as in eating. One can say enough, although the desire keeps coming from inside, take one more helping. To stop a sense pursuit at the level of the senses is called dhamma. Whereas your likes and dislikes just happen, You cannot do anything about them. What you can do, however, is to keep a certain distance between yourself and your likes and dislikes. In other words, you need not deliver yourself to them. This is what is called Shama. Shama is more at the level of the mind, where you're dealing with your likes and dislikes.
Can we have some example for Kshanti? Is it little bit related with Shama? Because in Kshanti also, you know that what the other person is doing is wrong, but still to accommodate that situation, you keep quiet and you stay, or you try to go away from the situation or person, just to maintain that Kshanti.
Yeah, that is akin to Shama. That is, you have a say on your mind. See,
Yeah.
you have three aspects here. You have the sense objects, then you have the senses, and then the mind. So, control at the level of the senses. That is all your five senses. Your sight, your taste, touch, smell, and and what is the other one? And smell, right? So all of this you have a say. That is the first level, that is Dhamma. Whereas Shama is more at the control of your mind. Not even wanting to have that, that becomes Shama. For example, if you're given gulab jamun, you go ahead. So supposing there's a diabetic person, he should not have gulab jamun at all. So he will be exercising Shama if he says no to it. Whereas a person who's not diabetic can have gulab jamun. He will have one, two. The third one, if he can say no to the third one because he knows he's indulging in the senses, then that is he's exercising Dhamma. I'm not sure whether this makes sense.
Oh, it's clear. It's clear.
Because I think
How
Dhamma is to do with the mind. Dhamma is to do with the... I think I will read the next para also. Thus, there are two disciplines, Dhamma and Shama, with reference to Kama. Although you need not worry about what you think, what you desire, because that is based on Prakriti. You have no say on what you think, what you desire. It comes because of force of Prakriti. It is also not your advantage to do whatever you want based on your desires alone. So just following your desires and your thinking is not to our advantage. Therefore, do not fall prey to your simple fancies and wants. Always look into yourself and see what is proper. Is it feasible, necessary, and useful to fulfill a particular desire? Is it proper? There may not be anything wrong with the desire. It may be quite legitimate, but not at all necessary. Only, or it may be feasible to fulfill the desire. You may be able to buy something that you want, but you do not need it. Therefore, why buy it? It may be useful, but is it necessary to have this particular object? Instead of simply buying it, consider first how useful it is in terms of your priorities. So all this, these questioning is exercising Shama. Having weighed all the factors, you can then go with the desire or not go with it. This deliberation is Shama. And if having gone with the desire, you find that you want more and more, you then say, no, thus far, and no further. This is where you require Dhamma. So Dhamma comes into action when you have already started pursuing your desire. Whereas Shama comes well before even acting upon your desire. Isn't it? So,
Yeah, it's clear.
Very nice. Very good. Very, very good.
So This is where you require Dhamma, which can be practiced daily whenever you feel like having another helping of food. Only when you practice Shama and Dhamma can you manage your wants. That is why it is said, Swamiji, one of the Chinmaya Mission Swamis only had said, whenever a desire comes up, you do the 24-hour process on that. You sleep on it, wait for 24 hours. Even after 24 hours, if you still think you require that, then you go ahead and do it. So don't just impulsively act on any desire. So this 24 hours is to exercise this Shama. Do I really want it? Can I do without it? Is my life going to be miserable without it? So that is that 24-hour hack is for exercise of Shama. And Dhamma is when you already have it, to put a stop on continuing to have it. Like you want more and more because of the karma. To manage your desires in this way, you need to be very alert, as Krishna points out in the next verse. I think we'll do the next verse tomorrow. Although there is that karma desire to know what the next verse is, we will hold it because we have to respect time. Correct? So we Shama.
Yes.
No, we are Dhamma. That is, though we need it, we are putting hold. So that is Dhamma.
Right. So, how are we up with time now? 6:30?
6:31.
Okay.
It's very beautiful. I actually want to do the whole chapter 3 one more time so we get a proper hold on it. But anyway,
thank you so much for saying that, because I couldn't do it on my own.
Yeah.
I was reading on my own the second time.
Very
Same
good.
thing with me. Same thing with me also. We can do one more time. That also is no problem.
Because we are all wanting to be karma yogis. So this is so much important.
Yeah.
We can imbibe it
from karma yogi to jnani. Jnani should be the
happens. Yeah, you go ahead. I was just saying the Shama Dhamma, you practice more when you are going for shopping and you see so many newer this thing, then you can have that control over it. Do I really need it? It's like the practical thing happening.
That is true.
Yeah.
Okay, then you need it, you will buy it. So while buying also, no, I want 2, I want 3, I will buy one more. That is Dhamma. Shama is topic that only first. So very good it is.
Really need it, yeah.
Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.